Lovely to have you all on this Monday morning. This is the last of the series of intro talks that I'm giving on this course, Mandala Vatika. Mandala in Sanskrit means sacred geometry. It means these are designs that are drawn which have got certain spiritual connotations, and they are all over the world. It's not just in our Indian tradition, but they are there all over the world. Vatika in Sanskrit means gardens. Okay, so the use of sacred geometry in ancient Vedic gardens, that is what we are going to understand and get a peek into this morning. So I welcome one and all for this intro talk. Sacred geometry is there all over the world. I mean, of late, it has been popularized by books like Da Vinci Code and all that, you know, all the Freemasons and all those esoteric societies where, you know, all kinds of things were done. But the fact is, whether you take the flower of life, or you take the Star of David in the Jewish traditions, you take the Buddhist mandalas in the East, you take the Pharaohic civilizations of Egypt, the Mayan, Inca, Aztec civilizations, every one of them is teeming with sacred geometry, and sacred geometry has been considered an integral part of their culture. So I divide this particular talk into 4 parts. First, we talk a bit about sacred geometry. What is sacred geometry and why we should know something about sacred geometry? That's the first part. Second part is we will understand sound, the connection between sound and geometry. Okay. And the third will be the plants. Plants, their frequencies, and how these 3 mesh. That is the sacred geometry, the plant vibrations, and the sound. These 3 come together, then something very wonderful happens. And this is what our ancient Vedic civilization discovered. You know, this civilization of ours, dating back 5,000-10,000 years ago, which was situated in the northwestern part of India, you know, Punjab, Haryana, the Afghanistan, and the eastern part of Pakistan, along the banks of the mythical river Saraswati. This civilization was so advanced because anything they did it to experience deeper level and understanding of all nature and to discover truth of our existence. So if they ate food, it was for a higher purpose, to explore the truth. If they did Ayurveda, astronomy, astrology, Vastu, philosophy, the Vedas, the Vedantas, anything that they did, it was to understand a deeper truth. So even with their gardens, when they designed their gardens, the purpose of that was, if you went and sat under that garden and the trees in that garden and meditated, you should be able to experience deeper truths. So this was their quest. I stumbled upon this particular science when actually Puja Gurudev Sri Sri Ravishankar ji, he blessed me to design one of the gardens in our Bangalore International Center, which is today known as Radha Kunj. This was more than 15 years ago. And normally as an architect, when somebody asks me to design something, I say, please give me a brief. And this brief runs into several pages. Yeah, if it's a corporate brief, they will talk about what the employees want, employers want, the management wants, the watchman wants, the parking wants. I mean, it will be a brief running at least into several 20, 100 pages. I get this thick briefs from them. If it is a residential development, then you will get, you know, what the wife wants, what the husband wants, what the children wants, what the grandparents want, what the dog wants, cat wants. Still, I will get big briefs from people because everybody wants their component in the design. So when I asked Gurudev Sri Sri Ravishankar ji, what is the brief for this design, I thought I will also get one, you know, brief running into several pages. He just looked at me and he said, you know, Prabhakar, you know, just imagine a garden 5,000 years ago. वो जैसा है ना ऐसे ही बना देना, वो जैसा था ऐसे ही बना देना बस. Just make it like it was. In my entire professional career as an architect, that's the smallest brief I have ever got from anybody. Just a one line, yeah? So that got me to start digging into what were the principles of design in our ancient Vedic gardens. And then I discovered, those days I used to practice off from Dubai, and I discovered that most of the texts were not in India. They were actually, I traced them to the University of Heidelberg in Germany, where in the Indische Bibliothek, the original transcripts of Max Muller are stored there. And there I found this deep science of Mandala Vatika. And from that time, it has been my desire that it should be made into the course and I should reach this information to more and more people. And then about 3 years ago, I took permission from Puja Gurudev, and he said, okay, make a manual and let us teach this course. And just about a couple of months back, about 3-4 months ago, just before the COVID, I took the manual to him and he blessed that the course could be done. And then the COVID happened. And just about 3 weeks ago, he blessed that again, he blessed that this could be taught online. So I'm very grateful for this opportunity to take this knowledge to people. I'm very grateful for my trust, Sri Sri Institute of Agriculture Sciences and Technology, for actually announcing this course. This course actually is a 4-day course that will happen in July, 9th to 12th of July. All those who have registered for this intro talk through Eventbrite, you will automatically get the mails giving you the registration links and all that. Those of you who have not come through registration, but directly through today's link, which I shared on Facebook and all the other places, you can connect to me. You can go to our WhatsApp page. You can connect to me on the email that was there on the screen. I'll put it back at the end of the course, and you can send me your request and we will send you all the links for registration. Okay. So, but let us first understand why sacred geometry. Now, whenever we need to find out the truth of something, we have to go to the source. Yeah. Anything, if you want to find out the truth about anything in life, you have to go to the source. What is the source of the universe? It is the point of creation. So we have to go into subtler and subtler exploration till we go beyond matter, beyond energy, beyond everything to go to the point of creation. Then only we can understand what source is. And in our tradition, we have always maintained that that source is Shunya. It is nothing. From nothing, this Brahman, this entire universe was created, and it will go back to the source. When you see our Sri Chakra, which is the mother of all sacred geometry, it is the primordial sacred geometry icon. When you see in the center, you will see a dot. When you meditate on the chakra, you will go from gross to subtle to subtle to subtle till you come to that point. And when you drop that point, you become one with nothingness, because that is where creation started. That is our tradition. That is what we believe in our spiritual Vedanta and our Vedic sciences, right? Now, what does science have to say? You know, if you take the latest research that has happened in the past 20 years in the field of science, you will be surprised that the top cutting edge scientists of today are saying exactly the same. So I will just play you a video of one of my most favorite quantum physicists, who is Michio Kaku. And Kaku to me is so wonderful because he takes the most deepest scientific discovery and makes it for a common man. So I will just share this particular video, and it's a very quick 1-minute video. So let's have a quick watch at this just to understand what scientists are talking about the origin of the universe.
I work in something called string theory. That's what I do for a living. In fact, that's my day job. I'm the co-founder of string field theory, one of the main branches of string theory. The latest version of string theory is called M theory, M for membrane. So we now realize that strings can coexist with membranes. So the subatomic particles we see in nature, the quarks, the electrons, are nothing but musical notes on a tiny vibrating string. What is physics? Physics is nothing but the laws of harmony that you can write on vibrating strings. What is chemistry? Chemistry is nothing but the melodies you can play on interacting vibrating strings. What is the universe? The universe is a symphony of vibrating strings. And then what is the mind of God that Albert Einstein eloquently wrote about for the last 30 years of his life? We now, for the first time in history, have a candidate for the mind of God. It is cosmic music resonating through 11-dimensional hyperspace.
Now that is so beautiful because, you know, right now, as far as physics is concerned, the ultimate component of our universe is not even matter. It is just vibrating strings. In our tradition, we call this spandana. Spandana means sound or music, but it is more the energy that is just vibrating in the nothingness. So in the sea of nothingness, when there is a string that is formed just by vibration, and these strings collide to form the quarks and the fermions and the all the other subatomic particles, then slowly from that very subtle, the gross universe is created. So when you hear somebody like Kaku talk about it, that's as scientific as you can get. Let's just quickly, I want to share another one of Kaku's because he just talks about something that is so special. Please listen to this as well. You see that? You see the leading scientists, the name in quantum physics today say that the universe comes from nothing. You know, our sages, they had a completely different understanding of shunya. Shunya for them did not mean zero. And in our Vedic mathematics, it is said 0 equals 1 plus -1. You know, if you say in my hand there is 0 mangoes, in our tradition it means you have in your hand a positive mango and negative mango which have cancelled each other. So in our tradition, the shunya can be 1 gazillion plus 1 gazillion negative. So that is how our sages, for them it was so easy to understand from nothing a Brahmand could emerge. Okay, so now we have to understand in all this, where is geometry coming in? So we need to go a little into that because geometry and sound, they have got something very unique happening. You know, when we talk about the primordial sounds, like we have got Om in our tradition, we've got Amin, we've got Amen, we've got this primordial sound in all traditions, which is a very, very sacred sound. Now, what does that sound has to do with geometry? Let me share a very quick video on that. And this will again be a very interesting unveiling for you. Just have a look at that. And we'll discuss this as soon as this is over.
Here is where a deeper mystery begins to emerge. And to explore it, we will need to go back to Pythagoras' other passion, geometry. It is not an exaggeration to say that to Pythagoras and his disciples, geometry and math held a key to the nature of all life everywhere, and maybe it does. Let's look at the first 4 geometric shapes, the circle, triangle, square, and pentagon. In each of them are angles of degrees that when added together always total a specific number relative to that particular shape. For instance, if we take a triangle, the sum total of all 3 interior angles is always 180. For both the square and circle, it is 360. For a pentagon, it is 540. Now at this moment, let's step back and look at these numbers in a different way. First, let's listen to what the 180 total degrees contained in a triangle sound like. And here's a squares and circles 360 in cycles per second. A perfect octave up from the triangle. What about the pentagon at 540? That sounds like a harmonic fifth of the other two. What are these tones? They are F sharp and its perfect harmonic fifth of C sharp. Let's keep going. What does a hexagon 720 sound like? Another F sharp. Here's a seven-sided septagon, which totals 900. This is an A sharp, which happens to be the note required to complete an F sharp major chord in perfect three-part harmony. And finally the octagon, where we get 1080, another C sharp. Suddenly, geometry is expressed by tones, and these tones just happen to create the most beautiful form of music, a perfect three-part major chord in the key of F sharp. Is this something we've been missing for years? Is it important? To the famous philosopher and mathematician Plato, the answer would have been a resounding yes, for it is Plato who advanced the study of two-dimensional geometry into three-dimensional geometry, and who began to recognize that nature, whether expressed as a tone, the petal design of a flower, or the spiraling design of a seashell, seemed to follow a 3D mathematical pattern. In fact, it became an obsession of Plato to try and find the simplest three-dimensional geometric shapes, and his quest ultimately revealed what we now call the Platonic solids. In essence, these forms represent the most elemental construction blocks found both in human-made and natural forms.
So slowly you are trying to getting where I'm trying to go, right? See, we need to understand if this entire gross world as we see it has been created, it has to be created on the basis of mathematics and geometry. And if sound is an integral part, then we can understand why even in our tradition, the mantras, especially the Bija Mantras. What are Bija Mantras? Bija Mantras are sounds which have a special connotation in accessing, opening portals to deeper levels of consciousness. So, like if you have Om, there is a certain frequency, but now you have understood that frequency of sound has got a relation to a geometry, which can be two-dimensional or three-dimensional, right? So when you heard him talking about the F major chord, it is a symphony. All the sounds working in symphony, that is what is the language of God. And in Kaku's video, which I showed earlier, he said, what is the mind of God? It is cosmic music. And that is what our sages have been saying all along. Now, why am I giving so much of scientific background into this? Let's face it, whenever we study something as esoteric as Mandala Vatika, there are two thought processes. One is either it is, oh, that's all a lot of mumbo jumbo, oh, that's all a lot of, and reality is also not helping that image, because there are very few people who really understand Mandala Vatika. But those people belong to a tradition which considers this knowledge very sacred, not for the public. It is a very closely guarded, closely held secret that only very few chosen people will learn. That is the tradition. But as a result of that, what happened? Our Gurudev says at one time there were 108 Vedas. Today there are only 4 left. Yeah. In that, when you hold something very close and secret, there is a good chance that humanity will lose it entirely. What is the other extreme of mandalas and yantras and all that? It's the quacks on the internet. You just Google Sri Chakra or mandalas for peace, prosperity, or whatever on Google, and you will get mandala gurus galore. You want somebody to fall in love with you, they've got one mandala for that. You want somebody to fall out of love with you, they've got a mandala for that. You want somebody to suffer in life, they've got a mandala. You want to be happy or make a lot of money, they've got a mandala. They've got a mandala for everything. you know, and they charge horrendous amounts. And any sensible person looking at those websites will say, this is a total con job. I mean, how can, so the understanding of sacred geometry and its relation to gardens, if I have to first get you to be interested in, I have to appeal to your logical mind. And that's what I am doing, giving it a scientific validation. See, once your brain is saying, okay, this is something that makes sense to me, you will be tempted to explore that. And when you explore it, you will explore it to that point where you will have to drop that intellect and knowledge to experience the ultimate truth. That is what Mandala meditation is all about. Yeah. In Sri Chakra, if you see, you have got the rectangles on the outside, you've got the circles inside, and then you've got a whole set of triangles. You would have seen that in our posters for Mandala Vatika, right? Now, at the center of that is the Bindu. So what are these geometries? These geometries represents different levels of existence. Yeah. First, the gross world. The rectangles are the gross worlds. Then you have the more subtler realms of existence. Yeah. And then you have the triangles, which go finer and finer and finer till ultimately there is that Bindu, after which there is nothing. So you can meditate either from the inside out or from the outside in. And every geometry there, every geometric shape there has got portals. It's got doors for entering, and each is guarded by a Devi. So you have 108 Devis there. And if you meditate, taking that Devi's name and seeking her permission, she allows you to the next level. And that's what, chakra meditation is all about. Yeah. But the fact is that it is all to do with frequencies. So in this course, we will explore a lot about sacred geometry universally, not just in our Indian tradition. We don't go too deep into the Sri Chakra and all that because that's a science by itself. But just for us enough to know how gardens were designed. Now, sound creating something from nothing. This science is called Semantics. Semantics is a science which talks about how Bija Mantras can create geometry out of nothing. So I had designed this, instrument where I have the speaker and I have a copper plate on it. And then on that plate is a black paper. And on that paper, I will put salt or white sand. And I hook the system up to a frequency generator and watch what happens here.
And what you're going to see now are what happens to particles of sand and other various particles when a sound resonates across a plate and resonates those particles in tune with the sound. Because when we think, we're not just sending out a wave which resonates the energy, we're sending out on a frequency outside of the range of human hearing, we're sending out a sound. Everything is sound. When we think, a sound goes out, it resonates the energy around us to that sound. And sound takes random particles and turns it into astonishing form. And that's how this universe was created. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was sound. So what you're looking at here is merely particles formed into patterns by sound. They were all over the place to start with, just in random positions on the plate. As soon as the sound appears, they form into these patterns because everything is sound. And it is sound that turns matter and energy into form. Patterns on wings of birds and insects are all the manifestation of the sound vibrations. Every organ in our body resonates to a certain frequency. And when our thoughts and emotions and stress and the vibrations that causes de-harmonize the vibrational state of our various parts of our body, we become ill. We think ourselves into illness because we're affecting the vibrational state of the body. And so every time you think and feel, you're resonating a frequency which is making the energy around you resonate to the same frequency. What you give out is what you create.
That's fascinating, isn't it? So I was working a collaborative project with Henry Oswald, who's one of the leading scientists in this field of semantics. And you know what I found was, when we say, for example, when we take the frequency of Om, certain patterns are created. As we take the frequencies higher, when it comes to Hreem, Shreem, all the higher frequencies of the Devi, Om is represented as Shiva and Hreem is the Shakti energy. You will find that actually the Shri Chakra starts to emerge on the plate. Derivatives, yeah, derivatives. Shri Chakra is a very complicated form, but there are mandalas which are derived from the Shri Chakra. You know, in our houses, even today, there are many houses in front of the house or in front of the main door, they will put the Rangoli, right? Now, what is this Rangoli? Rangoli is actually a derivative of Mandala Vatika. It is the science of Mandala Vatika, which today is used for aesthetic purposes. Because earlier, either in front of the house or in the courtyard, when we did the Rangoli, when we put the pattern, the sacred pattern, there would be a plant in it. Invariably, this would be a Tulsi, and that was the Tulsi Vatika. It was a sacred garden where the frequency of this geometry with the frequency of the Tulsi plant in it, plus the vibration of the Tulsi mantra, which was chanted, those three created a experience for the user, for the person who was doing it. So today, of course, it has just become a design which we put. Earlier, they used to use rice flour to do it, but today it is just some chalk powder that is put, and it's only aesthetic. But this Rangoli is actually derived from our Mandala Vatika tradition. Yeah. So we have complicated designs which come out, and you can see on that plate, it is just white to start with. Yeah. When we put the sand, and suddenly at particular frequencies, tuck, 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 the creation happens, you know. So in Mandala Vatika, this science, we are going to understand the union of geometry, sound, and plants. Why plants, you may ask? See, when you go for a walk in the garden, or you go for a walk in the forest or a park, you feel good. Where does that good feel good come from? Yeah. Does it come just because the greenery is good for your eyes? Does it come just because of the oxygen that is there? Or does it come just because of there are other people and dogs and things like that in the park? No. All that may be true, but you are going because you want to experience the frequency of the plants. So every species of plant has a frequency. And in our tradition, we took that to a whole new level in Mandala Vatika, where plants' frequencies were connected to nakshatras and rashis. So if you were born under a particular star and a rashi, a zodiac, then there would be plants which would be compatible or synergistic to your evolution. And if you sat under that plant or you ate parts of that plant or whatever, it would have an effect on your frequency, on your consciousness. Yeah. So this is the science of Mandala Vatika. So what does modern science talk about plants and frequencies? Let's just have a quick video look. A look at a very short video that I have. This work is being done by some of my friends at the Department of Forestry and Ecology in the University of Yale. And just see what they are doing with plants and plant frequencies. It's just amazing.
The first time I heard a plant speak, I guess, I was in Raul's art studio. He has a couple of potted plants there that he had been messing around with to kind of see how this device might work. And I heard the plant and it was just like, oh my God, like, right? Like, you know, these things are alive and you know that they're more complex than they seem at first glance. But then when you actually hear it, it's just like, it's so life-affirming and it's so beautiful. And it was so cool to hear how the plant could interact kind of with me in a way. And, you know, when we watered the plant, plant, it made different sounds, or when I touched the plant, it made different sounds. And whether or not I know exactly what that means or exactly what's going on, it's just cool to think about that there are those interactions happening, and it's kind of an invitation to explore some of the magic that's really happening in there, and to dig into the science and to the art of, I guess, life.
So there is tremendous amount of work going on in modern science where these three are coming together: sacred geometry, plants, and sounds. And in Mandala Vatika, in this particular course, this 4-day course that we will be teaching between the 9th of July and 12th of July, in this course, we will actually be exploring all these aspects. Now, for this course, I have chosen 3 Mandala Vatikas. The first Mandala Vatika is the Saptarishi Vatika. Saptarishis are who? They are the 7 gurus, rishis, who brought knowledge to humanity. You know, Puja Gurudev, he says that a guru is actually a tattva. It's a vibration, it's an energy, it's a consciousness. We are blessed to have a master in physical form, but a guru is a tattva. It is a vibration. So it is a wave that exists in the universe. And just like you have radio waves which bring a song from the broadcasting studio to your house or your iPod or your mobile, what is that? That wave is important, because only on that wave, that particular frequency, can that message come, can that song come to you. So these Saptarishis, they brought that knowledge to humanity. So this mandala is dedicated to those Saptarishi. So in this course, we will teach you how to draw this mandala. Then there are the 7 rishis. So 7 plants which are special to these rishis. So in our tradition, they say they are shresht for that. They are sacred, auspicious for that. But what it really means is that these plant or plant parts, they have got the frequencies which resonate with those rishis, that tattva, that consciousness. And we have very simple, very, very simple mantra chants that will be taught to you, which in each offering, you will say such and such a pushpam samarpayami. So it's a very simple thing, nothing mambujam, nothing very deep and esoteric about it. Very, very simple, done with a very innocent, space. We do this. So you have the mandala, which you will be taught how to draw. Then you have got the plant part, and then you have got the chant. And with that, there is a guided meditation that is done, and you will get a peek into the portals of deeper levels of existence. So that is one Mandala Vatika that I've chosen. The other one is Siddhi Vinayaka. Siddhi Vinayaka has got 21 plants that are auspicious to Lord Ganesha. And so we have Siddhi Vinayaka Mandala, and we have got that one which will give you how to draw the mandala, how to plant it in the sense, how to populate it with the plant parts, and how to meditate, chant and meditate on that. And the last one is Varalakshmi. Varalakshmi is the one who gives you the boons. She is the one who gives you the varas. Yeah. So she fulfills your desires. So we've got Varalakshmi Mandala. Again, you will be taught how to draw that, how to populate it with the plants, and how to meditate on that with the chant. Yeah. So see the beautiful science. Earlier, the ancients knew that in the physical space, they would create these gardens. Like, in the Art of Living International Center in Bangalore, near Gate 5, we have a beautiful Nakshatra Vana. Yeah. And, that's a physical garden. But the ancients also realized that not everybody has the luxury of space to plant a garden. So there, what you did in the actual land, you created the mandala, and then you planted the trees, waited 20, 30 years for the trees to mature. You sat under it and you meditated. But since the time and space constraint is there, what they also did was, you could actually draw this mandala on sand or soil on the ground, and you could put the plant parts, just like we do homas. What are homas? Homas are homa kundas that are constructed with very, very precise sacred geometry. Then the chants are made to the Homa, and the offerings are the plant parts. You know, when we have Navaratri or Shivratri and all these Homas that happen, what is being done? It's the same thing. It's sacred geometry coming together with the sound and the plants, opening portals where you can experience deeper levels of consciousness. Mandala Vatika is exactly that. In the comfort of your home, on your tabletop, on a paper, you can draw these mandalas. You can use the plant parts. You don't actually wait for the plant to grow. If you're taking sesame, you put the sesame seed there. That's how it works. So the energy, the frequency on that sacred geometry, a simple mantra and a meditation. So this is what will be taught in this 4-day course. It is an offering from the SSIST, the Agriculture Trust of the Art of Living. And the trust does so much of voluntary work. We work with 22 lakh farmers promoting chemical-free natural farming, our Vedic agriculture. And, you know, a lot of this requires money to do. Therefore, a course like Mandala Vatika, the actual course, it's not a free course like this intro talk, which is free, but it's a course where you need to pay a donation for that. That donation is 4,500 rupees. And for this, you will get all the soft copies and the soft copies of the how to draw the mandalas, how to chant in the mandalas, what are the plants, what are the uniqueness of these plants, how these plants' energies work with us. All that will be taught to you, and the guided meditation also will be given to you as a part of that. So in the comfort of your home, you can actually sit and you can work this. So a lot of people have a question, what is a yantra and what is a mantra? Yeah, just to give you, why is this course called Mandala Vatika, whereas gardens are called Yantra Vatikas? Because they are in the physical form and they are permanent. So whenever you draw sacred geometry on a stone or on a copper plate or something like that, which is permanent, like even our Nakshatra Vanam at Gate 5 in the Art of Living International Center, it is a yantra because it is a permanent etching. We have put the bricks and everything and make that design permanently there, and people go and meditate. So anything that is permanent is called a yantra, and what is temporary, like something that's drawn on sand or something that is drawn on paper, you meditate and then you throw it away. You don't need to preserve it. Yeah. So that is a mandala. It's a very simple definition. In fact, this entire course is to simplify and take out all the esoteric, very complicated, frills that come with this. We just go to the principles. I will take you with scientific logic and your logical brain right up to that point when you have to drop it and take that next step into experiencing that which we all desire. Yeah. So we are very grateful for our Guru, Sri Ravishankar ji, who has brought this this science, as a course to be offered. See, my passion, why I want this knowledge to reach people, is because I don't want this to die away. When we hear that there were 108 Vedas and today we have only 4, and just those 4, if we are exploring, so much of knowledge is there in that. Yeah. Imagine if we had 108 Vedas, where we would have been today. Yeah. So I don't want this knowledge to die. And that is why I want each one of you to attend this particular course between the 9th and 12th of July. And one thing that we do is, when we have the course, this course will always also be on an exclusive drive that with the email, with the Google login of your participating email ID, you can access it for 24 hours. So even, let's say, in these 4 classes, they are just 2 hours each. If you miss one, don't worry about it, because you can go back and see it when you have the time and then come back for the next class. So we are trying to make it as user-friendly as possible for you. The links will be out. So within the next day or 2, all of you will get the links. Those who have not registered, please come back to my, please go to our Facebook page. You can put in your questions. You can write to me at prabhakar.rav@artofliving.org. But my passion is that I want you to keep this knowledge alive. In fact, I want each one of you to become teachers of this knowledge. You know, I really want you to take this knowledge and reach it as far as we can to as many people as we can, so that this knowledge does not disappear from the planet, and we will be able to, keep this tradition alive. So this is what this whole intro talk is about. I thank each and every one of you for participating in this, and I really wish that I see each and every one of you in the course itself. Thank you very much. Thank you, one and all.